Hey, well, Mug World Entertainment and Lanterns is here. Oh boy, the show that they refused to call Green Lanterns because the word green was stupid. Yeah, this is the new DCU project that has now landed. It's probably the best thing they've put out so far, but that's not hard to do at this stage. But it suffers from so many problems as well. Now, the things that work are the chemistry between these two, Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre. Their chemistry is great. Their performances are really good as well. So is some of the others. But it's the story and the structure that really let this thing down. There is a massive spoiler that, yes, we will dive into, but I'll give you a fair warning when that comes up. But the first thing you really realize is they hate superheroes. They clearly hate superheroes because this really is not superhero stuff. So they completely misused the ring. So even though Hal explains in this very scene here that, yeah, the ring pretty much chooses its bearer, and yet he's able to give it to John Stewart, and Stewart can use it. That's kind of like, but that wouldn't work. And this is an argument we've been making since the trailers came out for this, is that the ring chooses its bearer and who it will work for. So if it chose Hal Jordan, it can't then choose, while he's still alive, John Stewart. So John Stewart is his trainee, but he's basically teaching him nothing. Now, this is the opening of the show. This is young John Stewart and his father. This is in 1996. Then the main story happens in 2016, and then the end of the episode is 2026. So there's 3 different time periods. So the majority of this show looks like it's going to take place in 2016, because that's where the main story seems to be focused, which is very unusual. And it's that trope of what Superman did, where the 30 years ago and it was all 3s, this is all 6s. So 96, 2016, 2026. It's like, okay. This here is the only time he actually uses the ring for actual powers, which was this moment. Other than that, he's making money with it. He's making bottle openers with it. John Stewart uses it to light a cigarette for someone. It's like, oh, wow, you really just don't want it to be here. He's in the suit once at the very beginning when young John Stewart is watching him on the TV in a 60 Minutes interview. That's the only time you see him in the suit. Other than that, you're basically following John Stewart as he's kind of walking around. So there's an incident, a shooting on this football pitch, and Stewart arrives, and when he does this scene in the trailer where he puts the ring on the dashboard of the car and jumps out of the car. Now he tells John Stewart where he's going to be. He says, there's a taco stand halfway up the road there. Meet me there. And then he jumps out of the car, and the car goes off the cliff, and he uses the ring to save himself. But while John Stewart is walking up to this place, Hal Jordan, a younger version of Hal Jordan, appears to him. And he's like, oh crap, I'm not dead, am I? And he's like, what? And he goes, who are you? What year is it? And all this. You upload memories basically all the time to the ring, and the ring activated this version of Hal Jordan to deliver a message to himself. But John Stewart says, like, well, tell it to me. And he says it's hailing down in I can't remember. It's like Mississippi or something. I can't quite remember exactly where it's taken place. Hang on, I'm gonna I coughed. So Nebraska, I think it's Nebraska they go to. And that's a signal that aliens are here. So He's there to try and discover if the shooting is aliens. The cops are convinced that it's not, that it's humans. This guy that he's interrogating, turns out, yeah, he is an alien, and why he's there. But he gets himself arrested to try and get close to this guy. Doesn't work, but he gets bailed out by this guy. Now, this guy is the policewoman's father-in-law, and he seems to be setting up a militia because of impending alien invasions and stuff like this. And he wants to try and use Hal Jordan and all of that type of stuff. So they're building up the mystery of, is there an alien invasion coming from? Which aliens is it coming from? And all this type of stuff. They said True Detective. I think the setting... I'm gonna cough again. Holy crap. I'm back. The True Detective setting just seems to be the area in. There's the young construct that comes out of the ring. And that's him telling him that it's raining down. And I'm pretty sure it's Nebraska. But that's the only kind of part you would say, oh, it's like True Detective. But there's no real heroism in it. You know, it's kind of all over the place. How they met, they didn't answer that in the first episode. It literally went from him watching him as a kid to his father then shooting an apple off his head to see if he's afraid. Then we're immediately reintroduced to him. He's training, he's in the gym, and he walks outside and he's waiting, and the car pulls up and it's Hal, and Hal's like, hey, I'm late and stuff, and it's like, okay, so they're already in training, but how did they meet, and how is he being trained to be a Green Lantern? It's never answered. And then by the end, it's like, oh, so they set up another mystery that is like, well, you could see it coming a mile away and stuff like this. Lots of swearing in it, like, and I don't just mean like they're saying shit, so they're dropping F-bombs constantly, like constantly dropping F-bombs. There is a bit of Humpty Dumpty. Jon Stewart gets his freak on with the person that he lights the cigarette for. You don't, like, they're not naked or anything, but you do see them kind of going at it for, it's not a very long moment, but it does happen. Turns out it's the guy who bails him out's wife. Of course it is. The big spoiler, I may as well throw it out now. You heard the rumor. So, by the way, if you don't want to know this spoiler, that's pretty much the episode, except for this spoiler at the very end in 2026. So, you're being warned. We're going into it now. Spoiler. Big spoiler. The rumor, of course, does Hal Jordan get killed off in the first episode? Because that was the rumor doing the round. Yes, he does. Yep. So Jon Stewart arrives back to the place. We're now in 2026. He meets the sheriff woman again. She's like, you haven't aged a bit. And he's like, liar. He asks, does anybody know? And she says, only the groundkeepers who found him. They walk back into the stadium where they first arrived in Nebraska. I'm just going to keep saying Nebraska until I find out where it was. And they walk up to the very steps that he was sitting on when he arrived there back in 2016. And there he is, sitting there, dead. Shot in the head. And this is when he comes up. And he goes, there he is, lighting the thing. I'm just trying to get to the one image, because it's where the episode basically ends. Where is it? See, that's where they're... Oh, there it is. But that's where they're sitting, and this is where they find him. And then this. He checks his hand, and the ring is gone. So, the mystery seems to be now who killed Hal Jordan and who took the ring. So, where is the ring? We don't know. So, the rumor was true. Yes, they killed him off. So, that also means that the majority of this show is going to be set in 2016. Because that's where we're seeing a lot of the clips with these two, Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. We've seen them still together throughout the series, so it's very clear that the majority of this is going to be what the aliens are here for, what their intentions are, how they're trying to implement that, which will then probably lead up into 2026 and who killed Hal Jordan and why and stuff like that. So acting wise and performance wise and stuff like that, chemistry wise, it's the best thing DC have put out, but it's still anti-hero. It really is. Basically no Green Lantern. The colour, it's this colour throughout the whole bloody thing. Yeah, it's not terrible, but it's definitely not great. If it was just a cop show and something, you'd kind of go, okay, it's decent enough. But meant to be a Green Lantern show, it falls well short. And you're going to see a lot of praise for it from people. Okay. And if you've enjoyed it, you enjoyed it. As I said, like, I didn't hate this episode, but it does have a lot of problems. The de-aging looked terrible. And the flying looked terrible. And they tried to do, which they didn't do in Superman, but they did do in Man of Steel. They try when he's flying to do that kind of the air braking, the way Henry Cavill's Superman does. They added that to it for some reason, but yeah. So the rumor was true. Hal Jordan is killed off in the first episode for reasons. Jon Stewart is just kind of, he really does nothing so far except just kind of try and explain things badly. And there really is no use of the ring except for that moment. That and flying basically were the only things he used power wise. That's not just like dumb. But that's the first episode of Lanterns. So if you've watched it, let me know what you think of it. If you enjoyed it, I'm glad you enjoyed it. At least you got some entertainment out of it. As I said, it's the best thing they've put out so far, but it's still not great. It's just so anti-hero. It's weird. But as I said, let us know what you think of it. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like and share and subscribe and all of that good stuff. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.